welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm LaQuas Scott, and today we are reviewing Nosferatu, a film by Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers, who did The Witch, who did The Lighthouse, who did The Northman.
Yeah.
Which they were all interesting. I think The Lighthouse is my least favorite out of those three.
Really? Oh, wow. I really like The Lighthouse.
I mean, I like Willem Dafoe a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The stories seem very simple, but he does them with a very high production value. And I felt like the story in The Lighthouse, it was them descending into madness, but it was like, that was it. We knew going in that was going to happen, and it happened. And then that was it. But
it was so like artful and I guess of its time, of the time that you're trying to capture, of like mania, loneliness,
he does.
mania.
Yes, he does an excellent job in terms of production value. Like everything is very pretty. It reminds me of like Guillermo del Toro.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of the stories that he has are very simple, but the production value is very high. It's very pretty. So yeah. Nosferatu. So I liked it, but I was comparing it in my mind with Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
And the difference is I liked and I disliked. So I liked that he had, and I'm going to use the old names because I can't remember the new ones. Like he had Jonathan Harker's boss be the guy, like the Renfield character.
Yes. Yep.
And I liked that twist because it doesn't really make sense otherwise. Like he's just sending this guy off to sign this real estate deal and he doesn't come back for months and nobody's like, well, should we go look for him or right? But if the Renfield character is his boss, then it's totally fine, right? It's like, oh yeah, I know he's not coming back. That's fine. So I like that change. I did think the changing of the names was a little bit unnecessary because I didn't ever feel like I engaged with any of the characters. The one that I felt the most emotionally attached to was her friend, Anna.
Oh, Anna.
Yeah. What about you?
I absolutely love this film. I saw it twice. So I saw it on Christmas Day because obviously the theaters are open. And then a friend of mine reached out to me to be like, hey, I want to go see this. Let's go see it. And he likes to really dissect and really get into the film. I just thought that it just standalone was just incredible. It puts you in a mood. I thought the cinematography, I just love the cinematography that Robert Eggers does and really puts you in that setting. It's Germany, it's 1863. The tones, some of the shots were just incredible. I was like, how did he do this? For all the bad lighting that we see in television shows and movies now, I'm like, this was incredible when Thomas shows up to the castle and the carriage is going to pick him up. The shadowing, I'm like, did they film that during the day and then they turn the contrast, did some rework to make it look so good in the dark. I loved all the interactions of I don't know. I just felt like it wasn't that creepy to me because it was Nosferatu is inviting you into his home and he's having a dialogue with you of don't call me sir, call me lord because that's my my lineage, it's actually kind of, I don't know. I found it kind of funny of just these things and kind of we as the audience know what's going to happen. And this guy is just kind of well, my boss sent, I'm trying to be upward mobile. I'm trying to take care of my wife and she's having these spells and this is a way for me to get out of, to do well for my family. And my boss is telling me to go 6 weeks, to have a guy sign a contract before he comes into the city to move into this decrepit mansion. So nothing is connecting with him. He's just kind of okay, whatever. I thought I've never seen Lily Depp Rose in anything. I didn't watch The Idol. I probably won't. And I thought that she did incredible. I was she's the only person in this movie, with the exception of two characters that is not in the MCU because everybody else is. And I was hey, hey, that guy is in the MCU. Willem Dafoe's in the MCU and the DC universe. Like, hey, maybe she should get in there. I thought it was done well. I thought like Orlok was Bill Skarsgård did a really good job. Like he looked unrecognizable. Like the accent reminded me of a character from What We Do in the Shadows, and it's like, oh wow, like it's very, I guess, true to form, because I think Robert Eggers does a very good job of getting like everything correct in terms of historical, like a lot of research around like how the dialogue or language cues and everything. So I just really appreciated that, and yeah, I thought it was a great movie. You knew exactly what it was going to do because Willem Dafoe's character was going to tell you what they were going to do. And I didn't really compare it to Bram Stoker's Dracula because I seen bits and pieces of it. I didn't see the whole thing. And then also Dracula, Nosferatu, like all of them come from, like, it's very similar in nature, but I think the stories kind of diverge in different ways. But I mean, I appreciate, like, I guess I need to see like Bram Stoker's Dracula in totality. And I also need to see The Voyage of Demeter, because that was out for like a hot minute. I thought it was great. It's like, I feel like it's going to be like a holiday classic.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you haven't seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, then this is going to be your Dracula movie. But because I saw Bram Stoker's Dracula back when I was in my 20s, and then I saw it again last year because they re-released it. So I saw it in theater. So it's fresh in my mind. They also changed the ending. So be prepared. I thought they did a really good job of the production. The production value was so high. But I wanted the story, like the storyline, I don't know. It made sense, but it didn't. I thought they did a really good job of making Bill Skarsgård, like his Orlok, like very, when he's drinking from Harker, like very animalistic.
Yeah.
Where in Bram Stoker's Dracula, it's much more romantic. Like he's in love with Mina. Like that's his goal. Like everyone else, he's just draining for nutrients. So where are we off? Let's see. Rater's Choice, I was at a 2, and Story, I was at a 2. And special effects, I was at a 2. So, but overall, like this is one of the highest rated movies we've had, if you're counting this as part of last year of 2024.
Yeah, I believe it. I thought so going in, when I put my scores in, I was like, wow, like, this year, I don't know. It was like the spring, a little bit of a lift, and then it kind of went down, and there's still what, 2 or 3 films that to close out 2024 that could be highly rated. So
Sure. Do you have anything else to say about this movie?
I thought it was fantastic. I knew very minimal going in, but I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan and thought that this was great.
Oh, you know what? That was the other thing. Like from the story perspective, I didn't understand. He tells Herker's boss tells him it's a 6-day ride out to the castle, so he can get there on land. Like he rides his horse almost all the way there. But then Orlok comes by ship. So
that's right, yes.
That seems odd to me. Like, why would you travel by ship if you have already established you can get there in 6 days over land? Like you have a carriage. It's lovely. You've sent it out. Like we've seen it.
Oh, you know what? It makes sense is because he could be in the dark. Like, why he wouldn't get there faster by going by land, because he'd have to go by the day and then have to figure out, okay, where am I going to put my coffin? And then it's like those villagers, like the Roma, knew this is a vampire, like this is not right. But like, there's no way that he would travel by night, go to their village, and then, kind of like maintain his coffin. So it makes sense. Well, for me, it makes sense to go by boat, because it's like you're already in a dark place. Like during the day, you can just stay down there, and then he's feeding on all these sailors until he gets to where he needs to go.
I did feel like the parallel between him and the plague was done well, and that they needed the ship as a device to bring the plague. But I mean, you could have put your coffin in a carriage. Like it's dark in the carriage. You don't have to have any windows out. Like it. I just felt like that was unnecessarily complicated.
And the rats.
Right. You needed the ship for the rats, but it didn't add anything for me to this. The ship part didn't add anything for me to the story. Because the plague existed before. Like they said, we like the plague has come. So it's not like they were like, the what now? Wait, we've never heard of the plague. So they knew that the plague existed. So you didn't need the ship to bring the plague.
But also the friend he was like a shipping heir. So he knew of like all the boats. So maybe that's another tie-in, because it's like, well, why would he care? I mean, he cared about like his friend, his wife and his wife's friend. But then it's like, okay, now we have a problem because it looks like this ship brought the plague. And there's a bunch of like unnecessary just running around.
Right. I feel like if there were that many rats on that ship, like the people who were sailors on the ship would have had bigger problems than just like, oh, there's a guy sucking the life out of us. Like, also, there's where did these millions of rats come from?
Yeah. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is so disgusting. Like, I mean, someone did try to like attack the coffin. It's like, as soon as like a handful of people start dying, that's when it's like, okay, we need to throw this overboard.
Right. Did you have anything to plug in this episode?
No, I mean, still tons of movies to get through, like The Brutalist. Still need to see that. Queer, still need to see that. Lots of films, and hopefully they don't leave the theater anytime soon.
I want to see The Brutalist. It hasn't come out in Cincinnati yet. I want to see The Room Next Door, which has also not come out to Cincinnati yet. It's coming out in a couple weeks. Like The Damned. Have you seen that?
I don't think so.
I can't tell if it's a foreign film. It seems like it's a foreign film. I just saw the trailer once, but it looks really interesting, and it's a horror movie. So I was like, oh, I know LaQua's going to see that.
I haven't seen the trailer.
Okay. Well, check that out when you get a chance. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.